us to plug shamelessly. Just kidding.
Ooh, sponsor?
No. Oh, maybe. Yeah, sure. Let's plug collagen again because we always plug. Because I always like to plug collagen. But in this case, we're kind of gonna shift. Yeah, grab it.
Yeah. Whoa!
Sweet. That's a blooper.
Shoot.
What is in that? Well, why don't we show the camera what's in it? So you got real raw. We'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It'll get cleaned up.
That's a mess.
It's not that bad of a mess. What's in here?
What is in here? So let me show you what's in here. Hey everybody, welcome back to Coffee with the Doc, with the Doc, who's flexing, and I'm No Excuse Charlie. This is episode 4, correct?
Correct.
Okay, cool. So we took a bunch of listener questions. That would probably just be a good place to start, I suppose. Get right into it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Perfect.
so kind of like a bevy of different things that we have on slate for today. So the first one we have is, are deadlifts bad for your back? AJ wants to know if deadlifts are bad for your back. And before you give any type of answer on that, I just want to tell you that I get this question all the time. And as a trainer, working with Gen Pop people and athletes,
What's a Gen Pop? Because even I really technically don't know.
general population. So general population refers to, at least in my working sense of the definition, when I work with my nutrition clients, I have my competitors, like my people that are bodybuilders and actually competing, and then I have Gen Pop, general population, which is essentially everybody else.
Okay,
so same thing in a gym setting, my athletes, and then my Gen Pop are just normal, average people who are trying to get in shape. So I get this all the time. Sometimes people will refuse to deadlift, and they say, well, I don't want to do deadlifts because they're bad for my back. So what do you have to say about that? I'll let you handle that one first.
I mean, that's a fair question. Probably simply only because you're actually using your spine. When you start replacing the word back with spine, you start to take it a little more seriously.
Yeah,
for some reason. Which is, start doing that, because then you're going to take your training more seriously. Are deadlifts bad for your spine? I'm going to make a great, what's the opposite of shameless? Beneficial, awesome plug for one of my favorite chiropractors, The Good Chiropractor on Instagram. He just did a couple recent videos with Mike the Fantastic O'Hearn, and the world's best natural bodybuilder. And Mike was bragging about Mr. Good Chiropractor, and he went over some deadlifts. Mm-hmm. That's the point I'm getting to, is that he went over deadlifts. He said, absolutely, they're not bad for your back, of course. It's he did like a whole series on it. And he holds powerlifting records, I believe.
I think one of the things that I think about every time I see this question arise is, because you get asked this about squats too, right? Same thing, because there's a lot of spinal loading, and people typically, when they do deadlifts, they have back pain, which we talked about in a previous episode. They can't discern between good pain and bad pain. They think that their muscles, like their erector spinae and the different musculature that they're working in their low back doing a deadlift, they misinterpret that as spinal soreness. It's actually their tissue. But regardless, the other one I get this for is squats. And there's an old saying that I really like. It's squats are not bad for your knees. Bad squats are bad for your knees. So like most things in strength and conditioning, when you're talking about lifting and performance, it's all about execution. So if you do poor deadlifts, then they're very bad for your back. But as long as you're taught the proper technique, then deadlifts can actually be anything but. They could be extremely vital component to making your back stronger, making your spine healthier, as long as, they're done appropriately and in certain contexts. So are deadlifts bad for your back? The short answer would be no, absolutely not, as long as you're doing them correctly.
Let's add a huge caveat that I am a specialist in, as well as are my colleagues who are CBP doctors and or trained in spinal biomechanics. Mm-hmm. Your answer was great. Let's start with something nobody checks.
Okay.
I want another trademark. Structural or structured bodybuilding, which is bodybuilding according to like correct structure, like instead of true posture, structural bodybuilding. So what the hell does that mean? That means when you're lifting, and I'm going to start introducing these exercises in the gym as well. That's like taking your orthotic that is based on what?
On your spine, your true posture.
Your imaging, and you're going to be in that mirror image while you are doing your pec fly. Like when I do chest press, I have my dinner roll behind my back, just like I would be doing if I'm laying down, right? It doesn't matter how perfect your squat form is. If you have a spondylolisthesis, let's say that 5 times fast, which from the side would be a forward or backwards slippage of the vertebrae. Especially if you're sitting straight like this in the camera and your spine is shifted it's shifted, but it's called a translation. You can do the perfect form, but the vertebrae here in your spine and the vertebrae here are not evenly aligned. The plumb line, you drop a center plumb line is not going to go through both of those vertebrae. It's going to go through the center. It's going to go through the center of the center, which is not on top of the vertebrae, which they're not going to be like this, but you get the point. Okay, that's going to crush your spinal cord, and then every single nerve that exits the one side or the other is going to become compromised. Which
is going to lead to disc degradation, I would think, over the years, because when you're spinal loading with 200, 300, 400, 800 pounds constantly on a weekly basis, that's just constantly reinforcing a bad positioning.
Right, but what's happening instantaneously every second that you're under that load, even just gravity, what's happening?
Compression,
but of the spinal cord. So like, not 10 years down the road, right now down the road, like right this second, like, oh God, that's why I fell to my knees when I loaded the plate, and and I wasn't even lifting that heavy on squat day. How many times have we heard that?
Yeah. Yep.
I was just warming up. Yeah, well, your spine's completely wrecked. And why don't you know? Because just like my mentor, Dr. Zano, says, I mean, he was one of the best. What did he win? Mr. America. He had a huge scoliosis in his spine. That's how he ended up with ulcerative colitis, and you would have never known why, because you couldn't even see that curvature on. He was completely shredded. You couldn't even see that issue on his back externally, right? So, besides that tangent, the point is no amount of proper lifting on a bad structure is going to be safe. But who do you got to go to see to get that assessed? Obviously,
chiropractor.
Like yeah.
Yep. All right, moving on.
That takes x-rays or some type of advanced imaging, right?
This question is from Tony, and Tony asks, what vitamins should I be taking? So this is kind of a really loaded question, and the question, the answer that I'd like to be able to give is kind of create like a hierarchy, right, of what's important. Okay, this vitamin is the most important, followed by this vitamin, followed by this vitamin, and these supplements. Anytime you talk health supplementation, obviously you have your list that's popping in your head. Like if I said, Dr. Ryan, what are the top 5 health supplements that you need to take? You probably have a couple that come to mind, and you would have to think very, very briefly, and you'd be able to come up with a top 5 list. Likewise with myself. But I think that our top 5 list is probably based on common threads, like some commonalities that we see, like our deficiencies amongst people. But again, it's kind of like how the orthotics, the spinal orthotics, are individualized to you. Yeah. I think that supplementation should be individualized to the person as well. So you said in several episodes, you said we don't guess, we test.
Right.
Meaning we're not just going to take a stab in the dark and say you need this supplement, and that supplement. So what would be preferred is if we could go off of different blood work markers and again get something quantitative or something tangible that we could look at and say, okay, your vitamin D serum levels came back at a 25, so you're deficient, so we need to up your dosage of vitamin D. So that would be number one most important to you.
Yeah.
Now there's a lot of commonalities that we can look at, like for example, where we live, in the northeastern United States, most people are going to probably require some type of like exogenous oral vitamin D supplementation because lack of sun exposure or whatever. So we could put that on the list, but that doesn't mean that every single person needs vitamin D, because if vitamin D being a fat soluble vitamin, you could have toxic levels. Now I'll give the disclaimer that it's kind of hard to reach that orally, but regardless, you could make an argument for a bevy of different supplements being the most important or different vitamins being the most important. So I think that in order to answer this question, you would have to say it depends on what your blood work looks like.
Right.
And what your goals are, of course. But they should be getting most of their nutrients from food.
Yeah.
So what do you see? Like, do you see that a lot? Like a common thread amongst people that nutritionally speaking, they lack certain things, either vitamin specific or food group specific, or like, what do you notice is, I know this is kind of loaded, but what do you notice is the worst about like Western diets? I know it's obviously highly processed, but
I mean, that's probably the most important.
Just getting rid of processed foods in general.
Before we start with extremely mechanistic vitamins and minerals and what someone's missing, we need to start at the macro level, which means they need to be eating real food. Mm-hmm. I always start patients and or clients with what they can have, not with what they can't have. And I believe you're the same. Well, I know you're the same way because we work together. So start with a huge ass salad and carrots. I literally have a 5-pound bag of carrots off camera that just like someone smokes cigarettes in their car, I'm twirling carrots and eating them because, well, that's what I do. But if you haven't bought 5 pounds of vegetables in the last week, what the hell are you doing? Mm-hmm. And in fact, one very unknown benefit to chiropractic that I see in my patients is weight loss. Mm-hmm. Some people are like, how the hell is that possible? Well, it's actually pretty, it's not only pretty possible, you would not believe the amount of older dysfunction. Nobody likes to talk about that, but that is the number one thing that isn't discussed that I then hear a couple weeks later or months later with patients having resolved.
Yeah.
Okay, I had to bring that up because that's just like weight loss. Mm-hmm. That's not their goal, but they start losing weight again. Why? Because your body is functioning better. Chiropractic isn't about pain. It's about checking your spine and seeing what's healthy with your spine. And if it's not, just like back to Dr. Zano and anyone who's had ulcerative colitis or Crohn's that also has a severe spinal issue or any type of spinal issue, you are not going to be as healthy as you can possibly be with a spinal issue. And therefore your digestion and all these other markers that we know aren't going to be working well, are not going to work well if your spine's not healthy.
And I think that anytime you undergo a lifestyle change like that, whether it's through maximizing chiropractic services or optimizing your nutrition or whatever you do, you're going to notice, this is what you're alluding to, you're going to notice changes that you didn't even know needed changed.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, so, when I first started working with you, or I should say when you started working on me, chiropractically speaking, I would come in that I didn't even notice needed improvement on. Yeah. Like, hey, I'm seeing improvement in an arbitrary example. How about like sleep? Like, hey, how's your sleep? Oh, my sleep's fine. I have good quality sleep. I have no issues there. But then that gets taken to a whole nother level and you come in and say, Doc, like my sleep has been phenomenal. I didn't think that it could get any better, but I didn't realize how poor my sleep was until you showed me a way to get better sleep. Right. And I think that, like I said, if you do it through nutrition or if you do it through chiropractic services or you do it through any type of health intervention, you're going to notice changes that are beyond what you would expect, I think, for most people.
Absolutely. And here's the greatest part about what we just talked about is how much does changing your diet cost? For God's sake, we're saying change your food. Yeah. It's going to make such a huge difference.
Like when you say change your spine, change your life, it's the same thing. Change your food, change your life. And that's kind of, again, not to derail us because this is kind of another tangent, but that's how you and I found this mutualism in the first place, was me trying to improve myself and my clients through performance and nutrition, you trying to improve your patients and clients through chiropractic care and a combination of nutrition and performance measures, and it was like the perfect marriage, because I think that when you talk about health, and we touched on this in episode 1, the first thing we said was, if we're going to do a show about health, we have to make sure that we can definitively express what health is to people. And we talked about how it's pulling from all these different avenues. And I think that when if you're truly trying to optimize and make everything as good as it can be, you can't just go all your eggs in one basket. You need to give quality towards your healthcare, quality towards your nutrition, quality towards your exercise, quality towards your mental and emotional health. Like, you need to kind of bring all these in together. So I think that when you talk about chiropractic, or you talk about nutrition, or you talk about whatever, I think it's important to get all of those in your life if you truly want to be the best you can be.
Right.
And there are some people that are willing to make that sacrifice, or whether it's financial or whether it's time consuming or whatever, and some people aren't. And those people that do make those sacrifices are the ones that are going to benefit from it.
Right. That point comes from what you said about you need to train legs because your whole body needs to have that shock and awe. And we could go down the rabbit hole with what exactly hormones are just absolutely unleashed into your metabolic periphery, into your vasculature, into your bloodstream, that's enough of a tangent. But there's extraordinary health benefit to training.
So I know he wasn't asking for advice about leg training, but regardless, we're going to offer it there. Yeah, probably train legs.
Yep, I eat a lot of whole grains.
Okay.
Should I go one at a time or just read the whole sentence?
Read the whole sentence, but go slowly.
I eat a lot of whole grains.
Yeah.
Lean meats.
Sure.
Greek yogurt. Bananas. Granola bars. Eggs. And I only drink water besides protein shakes.
Okay. So I'm assuming that the advice that he is seeking on is how to maximize his strength while also maximizing the amount of fat he loses.
I guess so.
Okay. Because he didn't ask directly there. He just said looking for advice on trying
how to get cut while lifting heavy.
Okay, so the first thing that he needs to keep in check would be protein requirements. Those are something that even for people where we said we don't like diets, I like to have some kind of like a baseline to go off of. Now, protein requirements will vary from person to person. If you're trying to maximize and truly maximize performance via strength, you're looking to hold on to tissue, muscle tissue during a cut. Especially if you're not chemically enhanced with anabolics, it's going to be imperative that you have high protein requirements. So I would say probably for someone like in this scenario, would say like 2 grams per pound of body weight.
Okay.
So if he's a 200-pound man, he's going to need 400 grams of protein. So that would be the advice I would give, was get your protein requirements set first. And it doesn't have to be 2 grams per pound. It could be 1.5 grams per pound, and then you could kind of go from there. But let's say, so he's eating lean meats, so he's getting protein there. He said he's eating eggs as well, or egg whites?
Eggs.
Okay. And he said that he's drinking water only aside from protein shakes, which is still just water with protein added. So it
Potentially.
Yeah, I would assume. But regardless, it sounds like he's getting some high protein within his diet. So I think that would be number one, is maximize protein intake, which it sounds like he's doing. What were some of the other foods then? He said bananas.
He did say bananas. He said whole grains
and granola.
And then Greek yogurt.
Okay. So depending on what type of meats he's eating, I know he said lean meats, but that seems like it's very, very low in fat, which most people would assume is ideal for someone who's cutting or trying to lose body fat. But you do need healthy fats, and you need a decent bit of them for just sustained hormone production, for generalized metabolic function, for cellular integrity, and just overall health and performance. So I think that he may be able to up his fats a little bit.
Yeah.
Depending on how much he's getting from the eggs, how much he's getting from the meat. So that would be kind of those case-by-case scenarios that we'd really have to go and look into. How much lean meat are you eating, and what specific kinds?
Can I add
that
something?
sort of thing? Yeah, please.
This is a perfect time for us to plug shamelessly. Just kidding.
Ooh, sponsor?
No. Oh, maybe. Yeah, sure. Let's plug collagen again, because we always plug. Because I always like to plug collagen. But in this case, we're kind of gonna shift. Yeah, grab it. Yeah.
Whoa!
Sweet. That's a blooper.
Shoot.
What is in that? Well, why don't we show the camera what's in it? So you got real raw. We'll clean it up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It'll get cleaned up.
That's a mess.
It's not that bad of a mess. What's in here?
What is in here? So let me show you what's in here. You're probably not going to be able to see the color, but they could see the color because it's spilled all over the table, the floor, my pants, and the chair. Son of a...
It looks green.
It is green. Can you see it? Can the camera see that it's green?
Well, we're telling you it's green. Wait, let me...
See if you can identify. Any guesses on what's in there?
Oh, man. It smells like some type of citrus.
Okay, there is citrus, yes. Good.
Is that your carb thing?
No, it's actually clementines.
Clementines.
Literally.
Okay, but there's definitely some type of greens in there.
Okay, so what I got in here is...
And collagen. He probably has collagen.
My pants are soaked with this stuff.
Oh, shit.
That's okay. The show must go on. Continue. So in this shake that is spilled all over my crotch,
Here,
all
flex.
over the...
Flex layer.
That is spilled all over. There is... The base is organic orange juice. These are very high carbohydrate, and I'm not necessarily recommending these to people. This is...
Well, I mean, if you want to... Shit, dude. If you want to look like you...
Eat like me. Do everything that I do. Make the shake, spill it on yourself, and drink the rest.
There you go.
So there is organic orange juice as a base. I have a handful of spinach, just organic baby spinach that I just throw in there. Not measured, just a handful of organic baby spinach. I have 3 clementines.
3 clementines.
I have 10 grams of...
Collagen, but probably pure.
Pure, not chocolate, pure, unflavored. 10 grams of that. I have 20 grams of Vitamineral greens, just an organic green powder with a ton of different like seaweeds and different.
Did you say weed?
Weeds, seaweeds. I see weeds. There is 25 grams of avocado oil. I like to use avocado oil versus traditional popularized essential fats like you would say like monounsaturated fats like extra virgin olive oil.
Okay.
The reason I opt for avocado oil isn't anything fat profile wise, just because you can't taste it. Whereas if you put extra virgin olive oil in something, it tastes gross. Where avocado oil you add to the shake and it tastes fine. I have 70 grams. Now this is scale weight, so it's not 70 grams of protein. It's probably about roughly 50 grams of protein, but 70 grams of scale weight of whey. And I have...
We'll come back to that, what he means by that, but keep going.
A carbohydrate powder, just for some extra carbs. I use Carb 10 by MTS Nutrition. That's I believe it's Mark Lobleiner's company. He's somehow affiliated with them.
Boom!
Yeah.
I forget how it goes.
That's it.
We'll tag you, Mark.
So that's what's in there.
Excellent. We're going to pause.
What was in there? Now it's on me. It's on my lap.
All right, let's pause.
Try to conclude every episode with what we call actionable steps.
Actionable
so
steps.
takeaways that people can have or things that people can do in their daily life to improve and provide some semblance of value from our bantering back and forth for the evening. So one of the ways that we do that is we always provide some research articles for people. So what's today's research article that I have not researched?
So I'm gonna give an exact example of a case. This was multiple patients. I believe 20 to 30 patients. But what I'm about to read you is this exact specific case. So I don't have the exacts, but I can always, you guys just email, ask for the article, we'll give it to you. It was published in, I believe, the Journal of Diabetes. This is a patient that went through a round of corrective care, which we haven't really talked too much on this series about exactly what corrective care looks like, all the extreme details in the protocols, but we've started to mention things like the devices we use. We showed you the orthotics. This is another orthotic device. In fact, I have one. Yes, that was what I was waiting for. So that goes around the back of your neck, and then the strap goes in front of your head. And that's not exactly how you put it on, but basically kind of. And the point is, where it goes on your spine, on your neck, where this thing in the back goes, is where your x-rays show that it goes, and where your instability may or may not be. And the point is to correct the ligamentous structures, which is the hardest part to correct. And the only other thing that can correct ligamentous issues is not surgery. They don't really fix the ligaments at all, though the spine will end up ossifying around them. But I believe prolotherapy has also been shown to assist in the healing. However, I don't know to what extent. That's not the point. The point is corrective care is based on your imaging, what your spine actually looks like, how it's translated, distorted. This goes in the same place that your x-rays show. This is the exact same thing where this patient went through our protocol, which includes these devices if they're necessary.
So to interrupt here, corrective care is something that needs a baseline first.
Oh,
so like a chiropractic adjustment, like someone who goes in to see the chiropractor, they snap them up a little bit, crack their back and say you're good. That's not deemed corrective care in this instance.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
That is absolutely not corrective care.
Got
and
it.
in fact, chiropractic does amazing shit.
Mm-hmm.
And fixing your spine does amazing things because your spine, your body heals itself.
Yeah.
However, you can't. There's a set of protocols that need to be done to address all the different various components of your body. The spine has 220 plus ligaments in it. Which one did you injure in your car crash? Which one in specific is the reason why you have spinal instability? Which one is the specific reason why you have, like this patient had, not only type 1 diabetes, type 1.5 diabetes, had diabetes, but also had sciatica. And it resolved and with one round of care. Some people need several rounds of care. Obviously, the worse off your spine is, the longer it takes to correct. How about that? Cash me outside. Just like corrective care on your teeth, right? How long do you need the braces for?
Depends on how messed up they are.
Is that not weird? Or is that not... How about that? It's the same with your spine, except guess what? Your spine's more important. And...
My teeth?
Yep. Exactly. Your spine's more important than your teeth, and it controls a lot more things than your teeth do.
You can replace your teeth. You can't replace your spine.
And that's actually a very good point, too. And so the point is here, they went through one round of corrective care, which was 30, in this case, it's usually about 36 visits. You take baseline x-rays and imaging, and then after you go through the series of care, you get your progress x-rays, which shows us, did you follow your spinal hygiene exercises or not? Did you do the stuff that you're supposed to do in the office, which we can see when you come in the office that you're doing that, which is why we have you do it in the office, which is why we're your coaches and your leaders, because if we don't teach you how to do it and demand that you do it in the office, it's not going to get done.
You got to babysit.
We're very efficient at leading people that want to be led. So they did this corrective care program. They had the article that I'm talking about is diabetes and how the diabetes resolved, type 1 diabetes resolved based on a Dexcom 24-hour glucose monitor. So this is not just like some random glucose blood tests or A1C blood tests randomly interspersed in some random scientific study. This was imaging that showed there was spinal, we'll call it dysfunction and degeneration in the region of the pancreas, the mid-thoracic region. They may have also had upper cervical and lower back issues as well, but the problematic area that controlled the pancreas, and hence why, one of the reasons why we believe it resolved, was because we fixed the structural issues back to the normal ideal alignment we've talked about, right? The alignment in their mid-back, in many of the cases, if not all of them, was actually reversed, which you don't bend your elbow backwards and expect it to function the same way, right? It's not going to happen with your spine either. I'm getting on a tangent here. The point is, went through one round of care. They did the traction, which is part of the protocol, mirror imaging exercises, daily home spinal molding, which Charlie is very familiar with, in-office adjustments, exercise, and traction, including power plates, which I love and we'll talk about. Those are really good in the fitness field, doing vibration therapy with athletes. So talking about these different cases, the different patients involved in this case or in this study for example, with this patient, they had type 1 diabetes and they also had an MRI with confirmed lordosis in the mid-back, which is not the normal curve that you're supposed to have in your back. It's supposed to be a kyphosis. In other words, it's supposed to be like this, and it was like this. So, and that was at specifically T8 to T12, or T8 to T10. They were outfitted with a Dexcom G4 glucose monitor, which showed their sugar dropping drastically after each visit. They also studied, as of this point, it did not update their A1C levels, C-peptide, and blood sugar. However, they were studied. They're going to report the improvements in that at a later point. What I'm reading right now was in the middle of this specific case. Case number 6. Every time a patient has done sessions, sugar drops fast as indicated in the arrows.
So I think that can probably fall along the lines of what we talked about earlier, how when you do something from a nutrition standpoint, or in this instance, a chiropractic standpoint, that you're probably going to notice changes and improvements in things that you never even expected to notice improvements or changes in. Yeah,
absolutely. And these are 24-hour monitors, and I'm looking at the Dexcom G4 monitor right here. Anyways, the reason I like to talk about stuff like that is because you've never heard of that.
Yes.
And while maybe you have, they sure as hell haven't. And why not?
Yeah. Because it's not publicized enough.
Right. And the irony is this is the Journal of Diabetes and Metabolism. Sounds like a pretty important journal to me. You can look up the impact factor. And then I'm just looking at a bunch of other Dexcom monitors and more printouts. And speechless. This is with no additional insulin given besides basal. Like, these drops are phenomenal. And the same can be said, the same results can be had with blood pressure. And back to what we said last week. I want to profess my love. I want to congratulate my colleagues that just are just sheer monsters in a good sense when it comes to health and tracking objectively measures for your health that none of your doctors are doing, period. Mm-hmm. Yet they're chiropractors, and you just typically don't hear about that. So that's why I like to commend them, congratulate them, and I love to do this stuff too. Why? Because then you've got health measures that you're not just going in for your once yearly teeth checkup or twice yearly checkup, whatever. You have your x-rays, you get them done, you see your improvement, you see your progress x-rays, get your baseline adjustments, keep your spine healthy, do your spinal hygiene. Like, this is a lifestyle. That's why we have lifetime VIP patients.
Yep.
Right? That's a thing that I'm going to tell you from day one. There's no reason to be shy about it. Like, how long do you want your clients?
Forever.
Right. Is it a money thing?
No. I just feel like I can have more value the longer I'm with them.
Yeah.
Now, there are some instances where I do like to have people foster some independence, so I'm pretty open with them about getting out on their own because I want them to have freedom. But, especially with my athletes specifically, I'd like to be, involved with them through the entirety of their athletic careers.
Oh, yeah. Oh, especially that, too, right?
Yeah.
You watch them grow up through their sports and then graduate and go into college and get their scholarships, etc. too, right? So you watch that stuff, and there's a reason why. Part of our motto is generational health, because if I can teach and instill the principles, and hopefully lead those principles within you, you're going to pass them along to your kids and your children and your family, just like you would brushing teeth. Like, that's no big deal, but why isn't taking care of your spine a big deal? It should be.
Yep.
So that's the research article of the week.
Cool. exogenous vitamin D supplementation.
Yep.
They don't get enough conversion from UVB from the sun, so they need to have it orally supplemented.
Yeah.
So that would be number one. Is that number one for you, or at least in the top three?
Yeah. If obviously our huge caveat is we're giving you the free stuff first, which is food.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah.
get that down first.
Yes.
Email us with specific questions on like which companies. Some of them were just way more open about. Some of them, like, I currently use Pure Encapsulations for the vitamin D, and I don't honestly remember who you use. Unless you use
Depends.
Pure. Okay.
Life extension typically, but it varies.
I thought they made underwear.
Life extension?
No, it depends. Never mind. Anyways. Yeah. Specifically, so I say use turmeric in what you're cooking with, but even more potent than turmeric is curcumin. I don't have a brand for that.
I think some type of
Actually, I take it back. Standard process is the one that I've used with patients.
I think that you could even group any type of like anti-inflammatory into that group. So like quercetin would be good.
Okay.
I use Jarrow formula for my curcumin. I use Super Bio Curcumin by Life Extension. So there are several good brands. Those are just the ones that we're currently using or prefer to use. And then, oh man, number 3, does collagen count? I mean, that's not really a vitamin. He said, Tony said, what vitamin should I be taking? So
What about a mineral? Is there
multi-minerals, multivitamins, electrolytes, would that be included in there? I think that sometimes people, I could throw that one out there because a lot of people are big on hydration and they understand the importance of hydration, but that's only half the battle. You can understand how important something is, but you need to be practical and implement it. So one of the things that I see all the time is people who think that hydration is solely predicated on how much water you drink. And they say, I drink 1.5 gallons or I drink 2 gallons of water a day. But what that's doing is that's depleting electrolytes and flushing them out. So you need electrolytes for that purpose. And then secondarily, cellular hydration, like hydration at the cellular level, only happens in the presence of electrolytes. So I know that somebody that does a lot of really good quality research and is kind of like the lead expert on hydration as far as I've seen is Dr. Zach Bush. So if you guys want to look up Dr. Zach Bush, he's really, really good. He talks a lot about the importance of electrolyte supplementation in terms of true cellular hydration, not just flushing water in and out of your body, but actually hydrating at the cellular level. Okay. So you can put electrolytes on there too for some people.
Okay, we'll put that. We will for sure put that in the show notes as usual. And then also dive into a more detailed discussion later on at some point in one of the episodes about lab panels that we recommend getting and or come to us and we're gonna get for you to check these baseline levels of things.
Yep.
And then I think, what was the last thing?
Deadlifts are not bad for your back.
Deadlifts are not bad for your back, given a healthy spinal structure.
Perfect.
All right.
End of the episode 4. No excuse, Charlie.
The Dr. Livingston. Check out the spinal hygiene stuff. I've been talking about that a lot lately. If you don't have a spinal hygiene kit, get one.
Links in my bio.
There we go. And
changemyposture.com.
changemyposture.com. Sign up.
It's up there.
Giveaways. And ask away with these questions, because the better the questions, the better the answers.
changemyposture.com, and I'm going to have changemypants.com because I still have shake spilled all over them. See you next week.
Peace.